Hi guys. I thought I'd do a video tonight from inside the house. We're having high winds outside and temperatures drop and it's getting late. So it's a pretty late night video and I don't typically do late night videos. But I will be doing a lot of this winter in between plowing and hiking in the snow and giving you guys all the stories you like. Some you've never heard. But in this video is about something different. I was poking fun earlier at people that are overweight, but I don't mean for it to anger anybody because my dad was a big man. My dad was overweight. So I know all too well what that's like. And I know why my dad was overweight. And it wasn't because he was a double amputee in a wheelchair. It was because my dad was a heavy eater, a very big eater. And I wanted to talk about that in this video. I want you guys to really think about something. You've probably all heard the saying that we're all connected, right? You've probably heard that at some point in your life where people have told you, as humans, we're all connected. We're all the same. And so is everything else in the world connected. And if you really break it down and separate everything and you look at it as a whole, it makes a lot more sense. Kind of think about it if you scatter out a puzzle on your table and you're doing this 500 plus piece puzzle and you grab a handful of pieces out of the box and you put them on the table, you can't see the whole picture. You've just got a few pieces of the whole entire complete puzzle. And the only way it looks really clear to you is when you start to put it all together. And it's all connected. It's all connected. It's all by design. Everything, every day in our lives, everything we're fed, everything we hear, everything that happens, it's all connected and it's for a reason. Now, you may be someone that does or doesn't believe in this, but if you live long enough, you're going to see it's true. You know, when people look at America, they always say America is built on hard work. No, that's not what it's built on. That's what gets you what it's built on. America is only built on two things. And please hear me out in this video because this is all going to make sense to you if you follow along and listen to what I have to say. America is built on two things. What are the two things this country is built on? Leisure and pleasure. Leisure and pleasure. And when someone says America is built on hard work, yes, hard work is a part of it. But why do people work so hard? Because when you work hard and you make the money, the reward is leisure and pleasure. Everybody is trying to get to the same place because that's what the rewards are. Leisure and pleasure. It's what all your rich people enjoy, all your elites enjoy. And then once you have that, you have all the power. And when you have all the power, you have all the control. So leisure and pleasure leads to power and ultimately control. People work very hard to get to these places. Most of us only experience the first two. They don't experience the power and the control. Only your crazy psychopath elites do because they have an evil agenda. And so this comes all back to what's connected. So everybody works really hard to try to get somewhere, and that somewhere is a place that has a specific type of reward because nobody is ever just content at a specific level. Even if you're poor and you get the middle class, you then want to be rich. And when you're rich, you want to be elite. It's never enough. It's never enough. So this country is built on pleasure and leisure. And it's everything. When you go out to dinner, what does that give you? Pleasure. When you go to the movies, what does that give you? Pleasure. When you drive a brand new car, what does that give you? Pleasure. People want to have it good. They want to be able to take it easy. They want to be able to kick back and enjoy. There's pleasure and freedom. There's pleasure in all kinds of things. So this country is built on all the things. Now, hear what I'm saying. It's built on all the things that are going to be targeted in the end. In the end, it's going to be everything that matters to you in the end. Everything. Everything that you care about and everything that you love to do is going to be targeted. That's why everything is designed the way that it is, because it's all connected like a web. That's why you have the credit system and why you have all these different electronic ways that we have today, because it all relies on one thing. So there again, like the puzzle on the table, each piece can be separate, but together it becomes one whole, like the entire puzzle. Each piece is separate, but when you put them together, they're part of one thing. One thing. They all become one. Your cryptocurrency, your credit, the way you do business, your finances, your banking, everything. Everything is all done electronic. Everything has gone digital. They control you that way. They control you through your pleasure. And when they get you, and they want you used to this, they want you acclimated to all this stuff. You see, do you guys remember when back in the day, this was decades ago, that a small drink at McDonald's with a picture of straw coming out of this was a small. I got apple juice in this. This was a small pop at McDonald's. Go see what a small is today. It's like this. And then you got a medium, and then you got the big gulp, the big giant, huge freaking drink. Sandwiches got bigger. Orders got bigger. Meals got bigger. Everything got bigger, 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 bigger. And then everything got bigger with it, including automobiles, doorways, elevators, garages. When I grew up at home as a kid, our house was built in 1933, and the garage was extremely narrow. And I didn't learn this until much later in life, when I realized something wasn't right about the garage we had. And I asked someone, I says, how come the garage that I grew up with was so narrow? I said, well, when was your house built? This is in the 30s. And they says, well, look at the kind of cars they drove back then. They were skinny. They were small. Now today, everything is big and has to have big openings for it to fit into. What am I getting at? They're getting you used to something they're going to take away. They're getting you used to something they're going to take away. And that is what brings you joy, brings you pleasure, satisfaction, and all of the above. You like to eat, you like to get big. They make everything bigger to accommodate that. You know what it's all about? It comes down to the food. The food. That's what it's about. The food. Really? Cars and everything getting bigger has to do with the food? Yes. Because they're getting you so used to it that they're accommodating for you to keep going. Keep going. We don't care you're getting bigger. We'll build bigger cars. We don't care that you're getting bigger. We'll build bigger homes. We don't care that you're getting bigger. We'll build bigger hospital beds, bigger stretchers when the ambulance comes for you. This is true. I've been told in the hospitals, when I've ended up in hospitals, which is quite often, that they were told in the hospital that they got to start getting bigger beds in, more beds and bigger beds, because the patients are getting bigger. When the paramedics have had to come to the house after I've called 911, whenever I've had something wrong, like I've had a collapsed lung, then I was on that medication that put my heart out of rhythm, and it was attacking my heart. And anytime that I've been taken to the hospital via an ambulance, the paramedics, you know what they tell me? It's nice to finally have a patient we can lift into the ambulance. They actually told me that. They said, you're rare. We rarely ever get someone like you. You're of normal size and you're light. That's what they told me. So everything is designed around you eating more. You're getting bigger, but hey, it's okay because we'll just make everything else around you grow and get bigger as you get bigger. And you know why they're doing that? Because one day they're going to shut the food off. That's what they're going to do. They know in order for people in the end days, like the Bible says, for people to take the mark of the beast, they're going to have to do something drastic. Drastic. The best way to control, you can look this up on the internet. There is a slew of videos on YouTube about this, where many experts, even people that were affiliated with those on the inside, that were actually around these elites that have this agenda, the end agenda. They were actually in the same rooms with these people. They said when you control the food, you control the masses. That's the best way to control anything is through food, because there is no desperation like that of starvation. It is the worst. I've experienced it. So what I'm trying to tell you in this video is that you want to acclimate yourself. If you plan on surviving, if you truly plan on surviving and living the fullest life that you can live, acclimation is number one in survival. Number one. Anybody out there, anywhere on the internet, teaching, preaching, showing survival that does not tell you that acclimation is number one knows nothing about survival. Absolutely nothing about it. Acclimation is a mindset. It's a mindset. It's about conditioning yourself to tolerate that which is uncomfortable and less desirable. That's what it's about. And I've practiced it my entire life, and it's the most important thing that you can do. It's not so much the tools that you own for survival, it's acclimating yourself so you can survive. It's good to know what you know and have skills and be able to do various things. But unless you're acclimated to tolerate that which you will be doing, it's pointless. You may as well throw your knife in the river, throw your backpack over the cliff, leave all your gear behind. Because the reason why they are making the meals bigger and they want you to go through the drive-through, and they always say, do you want to supersize that? Yes, they want you to supersize it. And how many people do? Lots. That's why it's right in their like their work code for them to tell you that. Do you want to? They promote it. They want you to supersize. They want you to supersize. That's what they want. Let's put out more food. That's why buffets are like the number one way to draw people in for a restaurant is through a buffet. People love buffets because you can just load up on the food. They want you to eat a lot of food. They want you to get big. They want you to get diabetes. They want you to be sick. And then they want to be able to make a shitload of money off of you with pharmaceuticals. And then in the end, they're going to say, well, we're going to take away your food. We're going to take away your medicine. You can't survive without me. You can't survive without me because I hold the power. I hold the power. Because you see, everything is electronic now. So we control your finances. We control where you work and how you work. We control your credit, what you own, what you can buy, and how much food you can eat. And you either bend to our rules or we turn all this off. It's no different than the social score. It's all connected, you guys. The UBI, universal basic income. This is why they want the income to come from them to you, so they can dictate how much and how little you get based on how much you're willing to go along with their agenda. It's all connected. But you see, they want you to get built up. They want you to be used to eating a lot of food. So as your food gets reduced, you get desperate. You become hungry more often. You don't like it that you have less food to eat now. That's exactly where they want you. Because why? You're not acclimated. You're not acclimated. You're not disciplined. It was always in America about I can do whatever the hell I want. I'm a free human being. I can eat as much food as I want. I can abuse myself as much as I want. I can do whatever I want to do until the day that all stops. And then they control everything that you otherwise used to do all the time. And now going into that new system, non acclimated, they've got you over a barrel. They've got you over a barrel. Just like they control the gas, they control all the energy. They can just all of a sudden raise it to whatever they want. What can anybody do about it? Doesn't everybody rely on energy? Everybody relies on energy, just like everyone relies on food. All the things that you rely on, this is what they want. They want you to rely on things. They build you up so you become addicted to that which you rely on. And then when they control that which you rely on, now they've got you. Now they've got you. Don't rely on it. Be strong enough to where you could say, you know what? I don't have to rely on this. I can go my own way and do just that. You see, when I was growing up as a kid, sleeping on hardwood floors, house would be freezing cold, be the middle of winter, and I'd have to go to school in the morning, and I never had supper that night before I went to sleep on the floor. This is how I grew up. I'm just giving you guys facts. I had nothing to eat when I went to bed because my mother would be passed out drunk. She never made supper when she'd get like that. And so I would be shaking her and saying, Mom, when are we having supper? What are we having for supper? Because I was just a kid. I couldn't cook nothing. I couldn't even reach the cupboards without sliding a chair over to get a stand on it and get up and open a cupboard and see what there was in there to eat. And a lot of times it was just cereal. I'm not joking. Cereal, Fruit Loops, Sugar Pebbles, all these cereals that were crap. Diggums. Remember Diggums? That's what I that's what I would have for supper if I wanted to eat anything at all because my mother would be passed out. So a lot of times, many times, I'd go to bed on a hardwood floor in the freezing cold of winter with very little heat in the house, and then get up in the morning with no breakfast and have to walk through the snow to school, freezing my ass off because all my clothes came from Goodwill and yard sales or hand-me-downs from my brothers. Freezing my ass off. No supper the night before and no breakfast in the morning. And the only way that I ate the following day is if I got my free lunch. Because going to school as a kid, I got free lunches. Yep, I was one of the poor kids that was on the free lunch list. Have a little ticket, and it was embarrassing. I have to hand the ticket to the lunch lady and then you get a free lunch. That's the only time I ate was at school. Most kids' mothers would be saying, "Come on, honey, breakfast is ready," and they'd have toast and eggs and bacon and whatnot because the mother would get up, a couple hours before the kids have to be to school, make them a breakfast, and they'd be well fed before they left out the door for school. Not me. I had no breakfast and I didn't eat the night before, and I could not wait for lunch to hit. And it was like that all the way up through my entire childhood. It was like that. So I was always a skinny kid, very, very skinny, because I didn't eat worth a shit. And then I quit school at age 15. I ran the streets. I got work at age 15 as a bricklayer, and I started working for myself, and I still didn't eat good. Why? Because I was used to not having much food. So I would just eat junk food. That's how I survived. Chips, cookies, pop, whatever I could just choke down that was cheap. And then when I was homeless, I lived on Little Debbie cookies for a year. 25-cent Little Debbie individually packaged oatmeal cookies with that very, very white sweet filling for a year. Still to this day, I can't eat them. So my whole life has been acclimated to never having air conditioning, not eating proper meals and getting nutrition, running the streets, being street smart, learning things to do myself, learning how to build things and fix things and make things. And anything that I wanted, I had to create. If I wanted a bicycle, I'd have to go into spring cleanup, get parts. There's a frame, there's a set of forks, there's a seat, there's some ram horn handlebars, and I'd build my own bikes. Anything that I wanted as a kid. If I wanted a go-kart, I'd have to go to the pits in the city where the dump would be, to where the city would take the spring cleanup stuff and dump it over the edge. And then I'd go see if I can find an old Briggs and Stratton engine that needed to be rebuilt. Anything that I wanted, I had to pull out of the junk, out of the junk. That's being acclimated on how to survive, how to make do with what you have, how to do with very, very little, and learn as you go and acquire all these skills. That's how I did it my whole life. So now when I make something or I alter something or I customize something, it's because I've done it my whole life of customizing and making from parts and bits and pieces and eating very, very little. So when these sons of bitches say, we've got you, we're going to control you. No, they're not. See you later. Because I could go off into the woods and I can eat and feed myself in the woods. I don't need the government to do it. I could take care of myself out there because I've done it before. I mean, my God, if anybody can survive for a year without eating a meal every single day and not having breakfast and not having lunch and only eating once a day, maybe twice if you're lucky, and it's only a cookie. You know how many times I took grapes off the vineyards out there? Because it's all vineyard country. It's all wine country. Welch's, the headquarters of Welch's is in Westfield. It's not too far away. It's all grape country. It's all vineyards. I would eat grapes until I had diarrhea. I know what starvation is. My stomach is the size of my fist. How do I know my stomach's the size of my fist? Because I've actually had MRIs done of my stomach because I've got stomach and intestinal problems. I know how big my stomach is, and it's small, and it don't take much to put food in there. So I could have a sandwich at like 11 o'clock after breakfast and before lunch. 11 o'clock, have a sandwich, and then have another sandwich at 4 o'clock. And I eat nothing else the rest of the day, and I can survive like that. If I can eat that little amount of food twice a day, every day, think of how long I could live off of just edibles in the woods, trout, trapping small game. Think about that. Now, if my stomach was this big or this big, you're going to be doing a lot of fishing. You're going to be doing a hell of a lot of trapping. You're going to be foraging nonstop. You're not going to have time for anything else because you're always going to be hungry. Your stomach is always going to need to be filled. This is where they got Americans. This is how they're going to get people to take up the mark of the beast, because people aren't acclimated enough to where they say, I can't live without this. I can't live without that. I've got to have this amount of food. I've got to have this amount to drink. They're not acclimated. They don't know what it's like to go without. They don't know what it's like to go with very little. I'm telling you guys the truth. It's the truth. Acclimation is everything. That's why I don't use AC. I don't have AC in this house. I don't use AC in my van. I didn't have AC at work. I worked outside in the hot sun and 90-degree weather, and I wore full jeans and work boots in 90+ degree weather with 70% humidity. While all the other landscaper guys that were working with me were all in shorts. I was the only guy with jeans. And they'd say to me, Kev, aren't you hot? Yeah, it's a hot day, but I'm not a puss. I can handle it. You guys cool enough? You guys cool enough with your shorts on? Yeah, I'm roasting, man. I'm sweating. I could do it. I could do it because I acclimated myself. And I did that for 12 years. 12 years. It's all about acclimation. How much can you put yourself through and how much can you push yourself? Another good thing about being thin and not overweight and not buying into this overeating program that Americans have fallen for decades, because everything is big. Everything is all about, big portions, big plates, big cups, big drinks. Everything's big, 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 and bigger. Everybody's falling for that crap. I'm not. Because like the paramedics told me when they put me on the stretcher and said, you're the lightest patient we've had in a very long time. It seems nice to finally have someone we can lift. I want to be the guy that can fit through small spaces. Climb out my bedroom window if, God forbid, the house caught on fire. If I was some big fat ass, I wouldn't fit through a window. I could probably make it through the dryer vent with the cat in my hand. I joke sometimes, but I'm being serious. When you're big, there is huge problems, not just with your health, but you got to think about how much room is there. If I total my car, is there enough room between the driver's seat and the steering wheel that if I have a head-on collision and the majority of this car collapses, is there's going to still be enough room in this driver cabin for me to survive? If the answer is no, then I'd be worried about that. You may want to drive something much, much bigger. I want to know I can survive. I've totaled a car bad and it caught on fire. And I bent the door to get out, and the opening was only this big. And because I'm a thin guy, I went right through it like a knife on butter. I got out of the car when it was on fire. So being thin and being acclimated can save your life in more ways than one. It also comes in handy if you need to hide in a small place where no one's going to suspect you being. I could slither under the porch like a lizard if I had to. No one would suspect anybody would be under a porch other than a stray cat or a mouse. You got to think about acclimation and what they're pushing for in this country, because that's how they're going to control everybody in this country, is through food. That's why the government's taking over the agricultural business, paying farmers to stop farming, taking over ranches and controlling the cattle population. This is why all this stuff is happening. When you see these big floods happening, the government is going to be in everything. They're going to be in the energy sector. They're going to be in the food sector. They're going to be in everything. Everything. You will own nothing and you will be happy. You heard that saying before? They're going to control it all. So you can think I'm full of shit all you want. But when it comes to survival, if you truly want to survive and you think you're going to survive, how acclimated are you? How little can you survive on? And I mean for real, how little can you survive on? Can you only eat two small? And when I talk about a sandwich, you guys, I'm not talking about a sandwich. I'm talking about 2 pieces of bread, 1 slice of meat, and maybe a slice of cheese. That to me is a sandwich. Honest to God. Honest to God. I don't make a huge sandwich. I don't ever put a tomato on a sandwich, no lettuce, no, it's just a little thin piece of meat, maybe some cheese, mostly not. It's just the meat and bread and some mayonnaise. 2 of those every day. Could you do it? Every day. That's 4 slices of bread, 2 slices of meat, and 2 slathers of mayonnaise on a butter knife. Could you live on that? Every day. And not have your stomach growl? I can. I have, and I've done it. Acclimation. So when they want people to take the mark of the beast and they want to control them through food, I can tell them, fuck you, and I can go eat on my own. And I don't have to worry about starving, because there's plenty out there in the woods for my small stomach to survive on. You got to think about it. You may think it's a joke and it's not going to happen, but if you live long enough, you're going to see exactly what's going to happen. It's no joke. It's not a joke at all. The ones that have been on the inside have said this is exactly how they're going to target people, because they're building everyone up to be used to everything being electronic and everything being big and lots of food. And then it's all going to come crashing down and it's going to go away. And now they got you because you've been acclimated for so long going to these buffets and mounting your plate with a huge amount of food and eating multiple times in a day. Breakfast, brunch, lunch, between lunch, then a third lunch, a fourth lunch, then supper, and then snack after supper, and then have ice cream before you go to bed, and then get up and do it all over again. You're eating right around the clock. They got your ass right over a barrel. They're going to control you hardcore because your stomach is going to demand that you continue that routine. And unless it's there, you're not going to be able to tolerate it. It's going to force you to do things you never thought you would do. Because if anyone out there has never experienced honest to God, true, real, authentic starvation, you have no idea how bad it is. I've experienced it firsthand and it sucks. It's horrible. It's one of the worst things you could ever possibly go through in your life. Worst thing ever. It's no joke. Something to think about. That's why America is built all on leisure and pleasure. It's because they want to get everybody used to the very thing they're going to take away. And then it's going to be nothing but pain and misery. Leisure and pleasure is going to be replaced with pain and misery. You want how much food, Mr. Wilson? What are you going to do for it? It's no joke. Believe what you will. This is what's coming. this is what they're going to do. I'm ready for it. I've been ready for it for a long time. I never fell for the bullshit. I never fell for the credit scam. I never fell for the loans. I never fell for the new cars. I don't go to buffets. I don't supersize my meals. None of that shit. I didn't fall for any of it because I saw firsthand throughout my entire life just how much we were being lied to my entire life. So, anyway, food for thought, you guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again in the next one. Bye bye.